Okay, here's the round two preview of the 2019 NRL season. We're starting with the Dragons versus the Rabbitohs. I can't see anything but a Rabbitohs win in this game, I'm afraid. The Dragons were beaten up by North Queensland in Townsville at the weekend. Jason Taumalolo shredded their forward pack. The Rabbitohs, how they played against the Roosters, a very strong Roosters side. Admittedly, the Roosters have got a few roster changes from last year, and they're trying to bleed the new players in and get the combinations right. But the Rabbitohs decisively beat them in the contact area, territory, discipline. Admittedly, yeah, the Roosters gave them a game, but the Rabbitohs looked scary good. Sam Burgess in a slightly different position in the forward pack on the fringe looked dangerous. He got his try. Greg Inglis still leading that side. Yeah, they look good. They look very, very good. I can't see anything but a Rabbitohs win here. I just don't think the Dragons have enough. I think the Dragons have obviously the scandal with Jack DeBane off the field is affecting the team, and there's a big emphasis on this team's culture in the dressing room. And with the way South's played against a defending champions Roosters side and laid a number on them, yeah, I can't see anything but a Rabbitohs win. Plus, they already have a marker in winning the Charity Shield decisively as well. So Wayne Bennett knows A, what the Dragons have, and B, what his side have. But also the fact that they've beaten them a couple of weeks ago in the Charity Shield decisively, that's going to be part of the mindset. I think they're going to take that as confidence going against the Dragons away. I think, yeah, the Rabbitohs have more than enough. The Raiders-Storm matchup is, I think, a lot closer than people realise. Canberra, I think, are going to go under the radar this season. They nilled an opposition in Gold Coast away from home. They're at home. They're going to take some confidence with an away win to start the season. The Storm, while they were the better side against the Broncos and were by a distance more controlling in that game, they weren't perfect. But it's the Melbourne Storm. They always win round one. There's only twice they haven't won a round one fixture in the NRL. So Melbourne Storm are favourites for this game. But they shouldn't underestimate the Raiders. It's a battle of the hookers in this one. I think Cameron Smith, Josh Hodgson, who's going to come out on top. Now, I will say this. Melbourne seem to have an affinity with Kiwis. Canberra has an affinity with Englishmen. Bateman's joined the side, and he had a very, very good game. Now, Bateman can play in the forward pack and play in the back line, so he's more of a utility player. He can play 80 minutes. He proved at the World Cup a couple of years ago. Okay, admittedly, his favourite position is lock, but he proved he can be good as a centre as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Canberra bleed in those new players. They've also had to let some players go because of salary cap constraints. But hey, they put in a dominant display against Gold Coast. Melbourne were the better side against Brisbane, but they shouldn't underestimate this Canberra side. I think Melbourne will win the game, but it'll be a lot closer than people realise. I think it'll be less than 6 points. The Brisbane Broncos, North Queensland Cowboys, I can't see anything but a Cowboys win. I really can't. Brisbane were second best against Melbourne. They are lacking some leadership in that forward pack, and Jason Taumalolo for the Cowboys will have a field day if the North Queensland Cowboys can get dominance early in the first 10-15 minutes. Taumalolo will just have a field day. Plus, the Cowboys have proved they can win without Jonathan Thurston and win well, so that's also positive signs. The Broncos, they're missing Wayne Bennett's guiding hand in the coaching box. A lot of these players obviously have never played for anyone but Wayne Bennett. So that's going to be interesting. Plus, that forward pack's lost Sam Thaiday and Sims from that forward pack. So that forward pack is lacking a little bit of veteran presence and physicality. I've got to go with the Cowboys. The way the community of Townsville and the Cowboys have come together after the floods. Sod Ben Barber. Ben Barber's nothing. He's just a blip. But the way they've been involved in the relief effort, very publicly involved with the relief effort, they're helping. You know, some of the Cowboys players are opening up their homes to people who've lost everything. That community spirit's there, and they're feeding off that as well. That togetherness helps a team as well. That emotional lift can help a team. I can't see anything but a Cowboys winning this one. If Brisbane do win, though, it's because they're at home and they've really had to come together as a team and backs against the wall, but I can't say anything but a Cowboys win, personal opinion. Sharks, Titans, I'm going with the Sharks on this one because they're at home and they've got points on the board, as in they've scored tries. Titans haven't scored a point. The Sharks are feeling the pressure of the salary cap breach. Sean Johnson needs to get his stamp on the game, and Moylan needs to step up from fullback if they are to get repeat finals footy again and get in the top 8. I think the Sharks, this could be a down year for them. The Sharks have had a very tumultuous decade. Peptide scandal, salary cap breach. I think they want this decade to end. They want this era to end. Even though they've been successful, they've won the Premiership. There's been a lot of off-field issues with this team, and that has affected the team going forward. They've still got Fafita in the forward pack, and he's a destructive ball carrier. And he played big minutes against Newcastle, and that's good. That he's got that fitness. Gallen's still going. How Paul Gallen's still going, I have no idea. I think this could be his last season, personally. But Cronulla, I think, will have more than enough to beat the Titans. The Titans showed, from the match report I've read, they didn't show much. They were poor from the get-go. I think the Cronulla Sharks will have too much for them, and I think Sean Johnson could have a field day if the game opens up and the Titans are as defensively frail as they were against Canberra. Yeah, Cronulla could have a good bounce-back win that will give them some confidence, I think. The Knights, Penrith, I think Penrith cannot afford to play like they did against Parramatta against the Knights because the Knights want the game broken up. This is why the Knights beat the Cronulla Sharks, is they frustrated the Sharks with broken up play, winning the contact area, a lot of knock-ons. They really frustrated because they didn't give the halfback space. And yeah, I think Penrith were really disappointing last weekend. I think this is advantage Newcastle. They're at home. They've got that win at home already. That will give them confidence. They've been improving in recent years as well. They're not the wooden spoonists anymore. There are teams worse than them. I think Penrith and Gold Coast definitely are teams worse than them. I think the Knights, have a bit more about them. People realise they've got Clemmer in the forward pack. That's a big acquisition to have. They've got Pearce in the halves. Edric Lee has really a standout player from round one, scoring the winning try, and his defence his reading and defence has really improved since he left Canberra. When he was at Canberra, I used to rip my hair out I got frustrated with Edric Lee because he would show brilliant skill to score tries, but then he would be hopeless in defence, and then he would cough tries up. He did that again, but his edge defence was good, and his first up tackling was immense. He was dominating his opposite winger. I can see him doing that again. He's not a small man. So I'm going with the Knights for that one. The Roosters, I think they've got too much for the Sea Eagles. I think the Sea Eagles are in crisis. I think the Roosters will want a response from that defeat to the Rabbits. Yes, they've lost players like Blake Ferguson and Dylan Napa in the off-season for salary cap reasons, but I think the Roosters will be angry. They've still got players like Latrell Mitchell who will be angry and will want to put a performance in to, fight back against the criticism that they have received. And I think Latrell Mitchell allowed his emotion to get the better of him, and his temperament needs a bit of working on. And his goal kicking went to pot because he allowed his emotion to cloud his judgment a little bit, but he was up for the fight. Jake Friend, as a co-captain, needs to keep a slightly more cool head. He got his try, though. So there are a lot of things to look forward to. There's some young prospects coming in. Angus Crichton being added to that forward pack I think he could be better than Dylan Napa as a leader in that forward pack. And he as a Rabbitoh, he was brilliant. He needs to get more minutes off the interchange bench or as a starter because they brought him on too late, and that's on the coach. But I think the Roosters will have too much of the Sea Eagles, absolutely. The Bulldogs, Eels, I can't see anything but an Eels win. I think the Bulldogs getting hammered as they did, plus the amount of players they've lost in such a short space of time because of the salary cap. They're lacking a lot of leaders. This team don't have enough leaders. They've lost the Morris twins, James Graham, Clemmer, Woods. They've been decimated because of the salary cap, and I can see the Eels having fun, a lot of fun. With the Bulldogs. I can see the Eels toying with the Bulldogs here. The way the Eels played against Penrith away will give them confidence. They're away again. I can't see anything but an Eels win. Looking at how the first round went, Parramatta could get back-to-back wins, and that's a good, solid start considering what happened last season. They very quickly... Jared who? Yeah. I think getting Jared Hayne back in the club was a mistake. And we saw what happened last season with the chaos that was last season. Parramatta looked dangerous. They've added Blake Ferguson on the wing. he could have a field day against this Canterbury Bulldogs team. He really could. So I'm going with an Eels win there. The last game of the weekend to preview is the West Tigers versus the New Zealand Warriors. These teams are attacking threats, there is no doubt, and defensively very solid from the first round job. But in attack, they are scary. The New Zealand Warriors put up 40 points in round one in attack. So post Sean Johnson, their attack is different, but my God, it's threatening. The West Tigers, I've noticed since I've been really watching the NRL in the last few, especially 2015 and 2016 seasons and the beginning of 2017, they seem to start the seasons really well, come out like a freight train. Their attack is potent in the opening rounds. We get to round 4, round 5, and then they drop off a cliff, and then it's a struggle after that for the rest of the season. They need to keep up those energy levels and that scoring level throughout the season if they are to get to finals footy and to, repeat history that they did all those years ago when they won the title. This is the issue with the West Tigers. Off the field, they've had financial issues, and that's well documented over the years. On the field, they start the season really, really well, and then they fall off a cliff, and they cannot allow that to happen. Because there's been talk with the Sea Eagles, Cronulla, Parramatta, what are the teams? Penrith, West Tigers. There's too many teams in Sydney. If West Tigers have another poor season, that talk of moving them out of Sydney grows. And because they're a dual venture team as well, Balmain Tigers, Wests, they've got to prove that they are viable in Sydney. Same with Manly Sea Eagles. They're a dual venture team. Same with St George Illawarra. These teams in the Sydney area like Canterbury, the debate about are there too many teams in Sydney is raging on. This is why Wests have to win well this season. The Warriors, there's a debate whether should there be a second team in New Zealand to increase competition and make the Warriors better. I've voiced they possibly should have a team on the South Island. The Warriors though really put in a performance. And of course, what happened with Christchurch over the weekend as well, much like Cowboys, the grief that New Zealand are feeling. The team are feeding off that and wanting to be part of the community, and that brings the community together, and it brings the team together because they represent the whole of New Zealand. I know they're based in Auckland, but that's the New Zealand team. They fired both barrels at the weekend in round one. This could be the most exciting game of the lot. Could be a very high-scoring game because I don't think they were defensively tested in round one, either side. Now, I didn't see either side play because I didn't watch their games because they just weren't available for me to watch online. But that could be a high-scoring affair. We could see a lot of points being scored. It's all about who wins, I think. I think the Warriors on the road are not as good as Warriors at home. And the Warriors are proving that they can win some games really well, and then they just aren't good enough compared to the Australian-based teams. They want to, put a marker down. They put a marker down in round one. They've got to back it up with a round 2 marker. West Tigers put a marker down in round one. They've got to back it up as well. So this could be a golden point game. It could be a high-scoring game. It could be a low-scoring game. We just don't know. But that is, I think, a game to watch. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, as we go through the season, the table will be up, and we'll look at where teams stand. As well. But there are some teams that already after round one I have concerns about, and some teams that I think could have really solid seasons. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.